That is one hell of a mustache that Fernando Alonso has been sporting this weekend. That is absolutely fantastic. I don't know if that's a Nigel Mansell tribute, but it should be, because it's great. And it looks like we are live. Hello, hello, how are you going? Welcome to Turn 15 for the Hungarian Grand Prix watch-along. We're about 10 minutes to race start. Charles Leclerc is climbing into his car. For the first time this season, he's climbing into his car on pole position. Amazing lap out of Charles Leclerc yesterday. Should be a good race. We're looking at the radar here on the Sky broadcast. It looks like there's no rain, at least for the duration of the race. There's a lot of rain overnight. There's a bit of rain this morning for the F3, and it was a little bit wet for the F2. That's what she said, but it looks like it's going to be a dry race, which normally in Hungary, we'll see if it's going to be entertaining, but my goodness, ain't it great? We're going to have a race start on time this week. It's not going to be 80 minutes of fucking waiting around and any of that shit. We're going to go racing. It's going to be great. Lovely. Anyway, Leclerc's on pole. Piastri, Norris, second and third. Russell, fourth. That's a very interesting top four of the grid. Should be a very interesting race. The first three especially are going to be very, very interesting. The McLaren melodrama continues. Piastri versus Norris. It's going to be a great championship battle as long as Norris can stay within touching distance. Piastri's got a bit of head of steam going on about him lately. He's had 6 wins this year, which is more than Norris has had. He's been doing great. He's the Iceman. He really, really looks like he's almost got this championship on lock, so we'll see what Lando can do today. At the very least, let's hope that he can keep it entertaining. Kind of the last thing I want is for this championship to just turn into a blowout. I don't think Lando's better than that, but I do think Piastri is good enough to do that. So let's see how we go. Russell fourth, Alonso and Stroll fifth and sixth. Now that is astonishing considering how bad Aston Martin have been through the season and how bad, especially that they were last week. They were dead last. They were slow as shit last week. Like actual painted green snails on the track last week. But this week, 5th and 6th on the grid. They've looked quick in every practice. They've looked quick in qualifying. This is genuine pace. This isn't weather related or anything like that. This isn't even updates. Fernando Alonso was asked about this because, it came out of nowhere and he said there's no new bits on the car or anything like that. The track just happens to suit what they've brought here, which is a nice change of pace, I guess, for Aston Martin, because they have been struggling badly ever since they were racking and stacking podiums at the start of 2023. It's all just sort of been a steady decline. So good to see them up there. Let's see what they can do today. 7th on the grid for Bortoleto, which is his best grid start since he's come into Formula 1. Absolutely fantastic pace in a Sauber as well. Absolutely fantastic. Now that car isn't quite the pig that it used to be, but 7th on the grid is very, very impressive. Very impressive out of Bortoleto. He's had 1 points finish so far this season. We'll see if he can get more today. Verstappen 8th. Oh, Red Bull struggling. You're right there, mate. Red Bull are absolutely struggling this weekend. Really, really, I want to say surprising, but it's not that surprising out of Red Bull. Either way, Verstappen is 8th, Lawson is 9th, Hajar is 10th. So decent showing out of the Racing Bulls. And then Behrman, Hamilton in 12th. Again missing Q3. I know, right? Again, he's missed Q3. It's not looking good for Lewis this year. It's really, really not looking good for Lewis. And I want to come back to that as well, because it's not really looking good for Lewis at all lately. Carlos Sainz starting 13th, Colapinto 14th. Antonelli had his lap deleted in Q2 yesterday, so he is starting 15th. What was that for? Track limits at the last corner, that's what it was. And then Gasly, Ocon, Hulkenberg, Albon finishing up the grid because poor Yuki Tsunoda, starting from the pits today. Brand new power unit put into that car, so let's see if he can miracle anything from down there, because it is possible to pass at this track, but it's quite difficult to do that. Not as difficult as it used to be. It used to be nigh on impossible for cars to get by each other here, but when they extended the track in 2002, I think it was, 2003, that extension of the track at Turn 1, that's helped passing a lot, and we have seen a lot of passing here over the years, or at least relatively a lot of passing. We've seen some great duels here, actually, in the last few years. Lewis Hamilton versus Max Verstappen, Lewis versus Seb, It's been very Lewis heavy, isn't it? But also just classic races. 2014 was absolutely brilliant. 2006 was absolutely brilliant. So you're right there, mate. Somebody wants attention. It could well be a classic race today. It could be. Now, Leclerc on pole is a very, very interesting race. It makes for a very, very interesting start of the race. I think this all comes down to whoever comes out of turn 1 ahead. If Piastri comes out of turn 1 ahead of Leclerc and Norris, it could well be game over. If Leclerc comes out of turn 1 ahead of the McLarens, we've got a race on our hands. If Norris can get ahead of Piastri, I think we've got a race on our hands. Now, Norris has looked quicker than Piastri, apart from qualifying. He's generally looked quicker than Piastri this weekend, but it's really just ebbing and flowing between those two. It's going to be an interesting title battle, like I said before, as long as Lando can keep within distance. The last thing he needs is to throw the car off the track, fuck things up, and let Piastri get more than 25 points ahead, because he's, I think, 16 points ahead right now, I want to say. I'm pretty sure it was. Yes, he is. 16 points ahead. Max is in third, but that's totally done, and George Russell is further back in fourth. In fact, crucially, George Russell is 28 points behind Max Verstappen in fourth place of the championship, which means there's a little bit of news this week. In fact, there's a little bit of news this week. Maybe I should go on about it, because we've only got a few minutes until race start. Max is going to stay at Red Bull after all of the flirting, after all of the maybe not side eyes, winks, maybe cheeky drinks under the bar, you know, love notes and stuff in lockers and things like that between Max and Toto Wolff. It's kind of come to nothing. Max is, for want of a better word, he's stuck at Red Bull. Now, the good news for Max is Christian Horner is gone. The bad news is the car's not great, and the team has suffered a massive exodus of brain power. You know, we've talked before, there's no Newey, there's no Wheatley, no Rob Marshall, so there's big holes in that team that have just turned into a massive cavity, and it's not great. It's not great. So let's see what Red Bull do. I mean, the thing is, Max is signed and sealed, maybe sealed, through 2028 in that team, which I thought was a very strange deal to sign when he signed it several years ago, because it was a very, very long deal. And the thing is, in Formula One, and Mercedes is a great... I mean, even Red Bull before Mercedes back in 2014, but Mercedes is a good example of this in recent times. Even if you have been racking and stacking wins, poles, podiums, points, championships, it's no guarantee of future success. Now, Mercedes has won only just a handful of races since 2022, since this whole rule set started cycling in 2022. Which is just incredible. Especially, they had basically almost a decade of just dominance, of sheer force in Formula One, and that it's fallen off so badly, and even now they are still struggling to get their heads around this particular formula of rules. Now, they don't have a lot of time left to do it. They're definitely not going to be champions. Not before the next rule set comes in for next season. But yeah, it's a cautionary tale. If you sign a very long-term deal, it can go very right, and it went very right for Max Verstappen until now, but it looks like it's going to start going very, very wrong. Either way, Max is staying at Red Bull. He's stuck. He cannot get out of it. There's no break clause because he is locked in third in the championship. Even if George Russell were to win today, doesn't matter. Max is locked in there. He's in third, so he cannot move anywhere. And it's good news for George Russell as well, because he's out of contract at the end of the season. I think he's been brilliant. I think he's absolutely been fantastic at Mercedes in general. He's been great this year. He was great last year. I think he has absolutely earned that seat. I know, right? So let's see what he can do with it. Maybe Mercedes gets the rule set right next year. Maybe they do. Then again, maybe they don't. Maybe they don't. The word on the street is the Mercedes engine is going to be the one to have next year. But they just can't seem to build a car to go around the engine. It's still fucking with them. They've started reverting through updates, taking them off the car and trying to figure out what they've actually done with this car, because form-wise it has absolutely gone off since Imola. The flexi wing clampdown might have something to do with it from Spain onwards, because they haven't looked great since then. I mean, this is a team that kind of came out of nowhere and won in Canada. but haven't looked even close to doing that again. Anyway, the formation lap is actually about to start, so here we go. Now, the other bit of news this week, just running through things. So where are we? Formation lap is about to start in 5 seconds time. And there it goes. Green light, and Leclerc takes off. Piastri follows him. Lando, George both follow. Everyone's going to start cycling through. So about roughly 2 minutes to race start. Now, Fred Vasseur has been confirmed at Ferrari. He's going to be staying there for a multi-year deal to run the team. Now, how long multi-years is, probably would be 2, maybe extension beyond 2, depending on form. So at the very least, he's going to be there through the next rule cycle, at least at the start. So a little bit of continuity, a little bit of stability at the top at Ferrari, because it's not like a football manager. You can't just cycle one in and then he brings new tactics and things like that. This is this sort of a job requires years of lead-in time. It requires years of getting everything together, all the right pieces together, forming the ethos, the environment in which everybody works in. Everybody has to buy into the leadership, the vision, and all of that. All of those middle management buzzwords, but it's very, very important to keep stability going. You cannot just keep throwing head guys in and out, because you'll throw the entire organization off kilter. And it's nice to see Ferrari have actually committed to him, because there was just last month, or in June, there was leaks coming out of the Italian media. 2 different Italian media sources, publications rather, both ran with Fred Vasseur as basically getting the axe. So now, whether this means that Ferrari is just flailing around and acting erratically and stuff, and they were going to sack him, but now they're not, it's hard to tell. Maybe they were just trying to flush a leaker out. Maybe just feeding false information to the media, especially a bombshell like that. Maybe they could figure out who's been leaking things to the press. Maybe Ferrari just doesn't know what they're doing. Maybe they've had a change of heart. Maybe their pursuit of Christian Horner has come up to nothing, because apparently he might be buying into Alpine. Again, I don't know about that. Alpine is a wild card. They definitely act erratically, and Christian Horner could well end up there. Maybe Ferrari were going to move Vasseur on until they realised that they cannot get their target, so why not? They'll just stick with what they got. That said, Bernie Ecclestone had words about that, because apparently he, according to the rumour mill, was one of the co-buyers along with Christian Horner, which he said absolutely not. And he actually said Lewis Hamilton has more of a chance of winning an 8th title than that happening. So bit of a cheeky dig at Lewis there. I don't know why Lewis is catching strays. Maybe it's because he's qualified 12th today and generally is having a very, very hard time of it. There's his teammate, Charles Leclerc. Very popular fella. Very good racer. We'll see what he does today. So green flag at the back. Here we go. 1 light, 2, 3, 5. Here we go. Decent enough start from Charles Leclerc. It looks like the left side of the, or the right side of the grid rather, just got a little bit bogged down. All the grip has been washed away. Lando can't quite get past Piastri though, and look at George Russell coming way up. George Russell has jumped Lando Norris. He's up into 3rd, and it looks like Alonso is about to jump Lando Norris into 4th. Oh, Lando's going to have to hang it out the outside here. He's going to get blocked off by Russell though. Look at Alonso go though. Whew. Decent start. So that's a nightmare fucking start. Nightmare start for Nando. Great start for Nando. Nightmare start for Lando. So the Alpines are about to go side by side through turn 4 as well. High risk move there. Which means that Colapinto must have had a rubbish start, because he was several places above Gasly on the grid. Now, I tell you, that's bad for Lando. That's really, really bad. 5th place. Not great. Look at Bortoleto right behind him. Now, interestingly, Stroll's had a bad start, because he generally tends to ace his starts. It's been one of his fortes, actually, in Formula 1. So, very, very close between the Haas and the Racing Bulls there. That was Hadjar and Behrman. Sainz right behind him. A little bit ambitious there, I think, from Hadjar. it's kind of never going to work. So lap 1, Leclerc does hold the lead then. So here we go, Piastri. I think with enough time, Piastri can definitely get by. The big question is, what can Norris do from back there? He's going to have to start trying to... He's going to have to recover this as quickly as he can. I mean, no shit, you know what I mean? But that's really, really not good for him. And I mean, that's really, really not good for Lando. Oh... Piastri is still staying about a second. Oh, that's Max Verstappen down the inside of Liam Lawson. So, I mean, Lawson was never going to fight that, I don't think. It's probably senior Red Bull. Laurent Mekies himself on the phone to Racing Bull saying, let him by. One of the advantages of having a B team. Ferrari used to do that about 20 years ago with the Sauber. Before they switched to BMW, they had a little bit of a comfy relationship. I say 20 years ago, it was probably closer to 30 years, but you know, whatevs. Here we go. Lap 2, Leclerc, Piastri, Russell, Alonso, Norris, Bortoleto, Stroll, Verstappen 8th, Lawson, and then Behrman. So mostly not a lot of change. I think Lando was the big loser there, but there goes Lando past Nando. And Bortoleto's having a little look at it too. Yeah, really, really needed that. He needed that, and now he needs to get by George Russell as quickly as he can. The thing is, getting by that Mercedes might not be the easiest thing in the world. It'd be interesting to see what Aston Martin does today pace-wise, because they were quick in practice, they were quick in qualifying. Will that translate to the race? We don't know. I mean, they were saying it's not even like there's new updates or anything onto the car, it just happened to suit it, but will it suit it with a massive stack of fuel? Well, that's Max Verstappen going up the inside of Lance Stroll, so that answers a question, I guess. Can the Astons keep the Red Bull behind? No, they cannot. So Max is absolutely on a mission here. Either way, what else have we got? Hadjar, Sainz, Antonelli, Hamilton down in 14th. Oh, good grief. I mean, I make a big deal lately about Hamilton being down there, but he, you know, it's not really somewhere you'd expect to see a 7-time world champion in a Ferrari, especially when his teammate is leading. And leading quite convincingly as well. Look at that, 1.6 seconds now. Nearly 1.7 seconds over Piastri, so I wonder if Piastri's already starting to take it easy a bit. Look at Max having a look at Bortoleto, just no room to get by. It's decent driving out of Gabriel there. It's been very impressive, actually, very impressive. First Brazilian on the grid in several years now, and he's really, I think, making a name for himself. I was saying last year, he looked good, and watch out for this kid. It was a good get for Sauber, it's a good get for Audi to get him in that seat, and, you know, he looks very, very quick. Staff and radio just saying, nice job, get through these ASAP. I think he means get through the field. He's not talking about getting through some ASAP Rocky records. So a little bit of onboard with Hamilton back there. Half a second off Antonelli. Again, that's going to be difficult for a Ferrari to get by a Mercedes. They're pretty similar in terms of pace. Now, moving before signal, noted Bortoleto. Oh dear, did he jump the start? Well, you know, as soon as I'm praising Bortoleto for what he does right, he goes and does that, which is just part of being a rookie, if we're honest. I mean, can't really be too harsh. You know, these things happen, that's what being a rookie is. But interestingly now, look at this, Bortoleto was hassling Fernando Alonso. Now, I remember seeing this in, where was it, Austria, I think, not that long ago. And Bortoleto could not get by Alonso that day, so we'll see if he can do it today. It's his manager as well ahead of him. It should be slightly awkward. Now, what is this? A replay of the start? Can't really see anything at the Sauber back there. So Lando goes and tucks in behind Piastri. And then he tries to go to the inside of Piastri, but gets totally blocked off. And then what that does is just lets Russell and Alonso just both sweep around the outside. It's high risk being on the outside of turn 1 at Hungary because, and turn 2 as well being on the outside. You can see there, like just trying to carry that sort of speed through the apex of the corner with that much weight on the car and the tyres not really warmed up yet. The tyres have a relatively high amount of grip there, but they're still not up to operating temperature, like not to optimal temperature. So a lot of the times when they're going through these corners, the cars will tend to just lose grip and sort of wash out to the outside of the corner. So it is a high risk strategy, but sometimes it works, and it looks like it's worked for Russell. It worked for a couple of laps for Alonso until he got repassed. What in the world? Hulkenberg moved early as well. Now, have they misidentified that Sauber, or did they both do that? If they both done that, then I wonder if the team's done something wrong there. Look at this. This is Albon. And look at that. Like I was saying, outside it's high risk. You tend to just wash out, and look at that. The heavens just opened. The heavens, the gates, the door just opened for Albon on the inside, and he could just go right through as everybody else washed out to the outside. It's hard to see the moving before signal from that replay on Bortoletto. Look at this though, Leclerc nearly 3 seconds ahead of Piastri now, so that Ferrari definitely has some speed. Now they have been adding new bits to it, the new suspension, the new floor, a lot has been made of that. And I tell you, the Ferrari has looked a lot quicker. Hadjar complaining that he's copped a bit of gravel to the hand. Who did that? Somebody did that a few years ago. Was it Magnussen or was it a Grosjean or something a few years ago? They ended up copping a stone right on the hand. I mean, that shit hurts. Like, you know, again, no shit, but the gravel that they use there, it might look from a distance like it's like sand. You know what I mean? And it's not. It's proper rocks. I've walked through it. Like at Albert Park and stuff. Like you can have the opportunity when the race is over, you get to walk through these things. And walking through the gravel traps, I mean, they're like stone pits. And copping one of them, like when it gets flicked up by an F1 tyre straight into the hand, that would fucking hurt like shit. And part of me wonders if it's worth even having like carbon fibre, like you get on the MotoGP riders, like carbon fibre over the fingers, like protectors. But I wonder if that maybe just puts a little bit too much weight on the gloves so they won't do it. Because you can see there on board with Norris, like the hand comes up over the edge of the cockpit when you're on a full turn. Would hurt though. So Hadjar, I think, is going to strike playing on his Xbox off of his to-do list for the summer break, which happens after this race as well. So I'm sure everybody in Formula One is looking for that. It's been quite a long old season already. 14 races. 14 races. We've done almost a full old season. 14 races, and it's only the start of August. Now, Bortoletto's just been cleared by the steward, so maybe it was just a misidentification. Yeah, Hulkenberg is now under investigation, moving before the signal. Okay, so that's why there was nothing to see on the Bortoletto replay, because nothing happened. Hulkenberg's just on the fastest lap as well, incidentally. So he has just made a pit stop and he's on the medium tyre. Both the Williams are on a soft. I find it strange when a team that's on the second half of the grid, second half of the field, when they... what is this? Oscar radio, do you think a one-stop's possible? Tyres feel okay, it's difficult to know with this many laps to go. Indeed. He's not flustered, he's very methodical, is Oscar Piastri. It's interesting to see a mid-grid team that is in the bottom half of the field committing to the same strategy unless they are absolutely convinced that softs are the way to go. Especially when nobody else is using that strategy, it's a bit eyebrow-raising. Now Leclerc still hanging about 3 seconds ahead of Piastri. I'm surprised, to be honest. I thought Piastri would have been much, much closer to Leclerc so far. It just hasn't seemed to have happened yet. Now what is this, Hadjar? This will be him copping maybe a stone. Yeah, gravel from the Haas. Oh, God, that is a lot. It just showers you. Jeez. That would hurt, man. That would hurt. Copping like rocks like that at that kind of a speed to like what, the chest, the neck. I mean, they got the helmet, the visor and everything, but it would be quite an affront, to say the least, to get all of that shit. 5-second penalty for Hulkenberg moving before signal, so he's already stopped, so either he doesn't stop again, which on medium tyres seems unlikely, or if he doesn't stop again, they'll just have to add it to the rest of his race time. Meanwhile, everyone just looks like they've settled into a bit of a groove now. Bortoleto was still hanging off of Alonso. Max Verstappen is right behind them. Stroll is hanging behind. Lawson's hanging behind. So a little bit of a DRS train actually happening now. Looks like everybody's starting to back up. Back up in around the just about 1 second range behind Fernando Alonso. This is massive train. It almost looks like Monaco, actually. Just a massive train of cars, and as long as they all have the DRS, nothing really you can do, which means that the top 4 are getting away, which is going to be influential when it comes to the pit stops. If Alonso puts on the brakes anymore, throws out the anchor anymore. Now, what it does help is if there's a big gap for this top 4 to filter back into when they do their stops, because it's a very short pit stop time in Hungary. It's only about 18-19 seconds. Leclerc, what's going on with these cuts? Now, is he talking about overcuts? Potentially overcuts? Brundle's saying it might be cutting power to the engine. I thought maybe he was wondering what's going on with the pit strategy. Does he have time to overcut, undercut? Does he have a gap to pit back into soon? Because it looks like he will. It looks like all 4 of them are going to have a pit stop. Norris Radio, we need to get past Russell. Yeah, kind of no shit, buddy. I think he needed to not drop behind Russell, to be honest. I think Lando's race might already be cooked. And like I was saying before, George Russell is going to be a lot harder to pass than that Aston Martin. You can see the Aston Martin's already 10 seconds off the back of him. That Aston is really a cork in the bottle, and even Nico Hulkenberg's been catching up to them. So, depending on how long Alonso wants to stay there. The other thing is, Alonso could well be influenced here because everybody there is packed right into a line. The first one to get out of line and go through the pits is going to win big. They're going to win big because Alonso, until he pits, is going to hold everybody up. Now, we saw this a few years ago, 2021. With that really crazy restart where it was just Lewis Hamilton on the grid. It was Esteban Ocon, after all the pit stop malarkey and stuff had cycled through and Lewis went to the back. It was Esteban Ocon leading Sebastian Vettel, and crucially Nicholas Latifi in the fucking Williams of all the drivers was third. Now, that was massive because no one was getting by Latifi, and what it meant was everybody was bunched up, and it meant that everybody was sticking right within attacking range of Lewis Hamilton. He could pit early, undercut a whole bunch of them at once, and it was keeping them all close. It was keeping them all close so they couldn't get far away. What I'm saying is anybody in this line of cars, whoever pits first could win big. Right now it could be Hulk, although I'd say he's got a penalty coming his way, doesn't he? Looks like, a little bit of movement. Oh, God, that's harsh. That's very harsh. Didn't feel anything from my side, says Nico. I mean, he barely moved. He moved, but it barely happened. Goodness me. That's life, I guess, for Nico Hülkenberg. That's kind of been most of his career so far. Now, well, I mean, that penalty kind of takes Hülkenberg out of it. However, there is a massive gap behind Hülkenberg. He's 8 seconds, so he's catching this train of cars by about a second a lap. As we're watching Russell v Norris, the real action is going on behind them. 5th place is up for grabs here. Alonso is acting as the cork in the bottle now. Verstappen's dropped 1.5 seconds behind Bortoletto, so I get the feeling his tyres might be a little bit starting to give up. Behrman as well is starting to drop back just a little bit. 1.7 seconds behind Lawson, so is this them trying to get a little bit of gaps going, or is this maybe Lawson's pushing a little bit, maybe Stroll's pushing a little bit? Maybe everyone's just starting to drop back a little bit as the tyres start to go away from them. I can't help but feel if anybody is near the pit stop window, if they want to try to extend maybe a hard stint at the end, if they were to pit now from 5th, well really from 6th because Alonso's 5th and causing this whole shit. If anybody 6 down wants to pit, maybe a Verstappen, say, maybe a Sainz, maybe an Albon, if any of them want to pit now, put on the hards, maybe you can make it work. Maybe you can make it work. At the very least, there is an opportunity to jump a whole bunch of spots. And then maybe if you need to take a pit stop at the end, and then just go hell for leather on the softs again, so be it. Ooh, Colapinto's in the pits. Here we go. Keep an eye. Keep an eye. This could be something. It really could be something. He was kind of at the end of this queue here, so I'm surprised Red Bull haven't done it with Tsunoda, but I mean, they completely fucked his pit stop last time as well, last time in Spa, so it wouldn't really surprise me if Red Bull just forgot that Tsunoda was there, to be honest. Just hearing that on the radio. When am I changing my tyres? Who the fuck's this? Yuki? Who? Never heard of you. Click. Look at that. Leclerc still 3 seconds ahead. Russell 3 seconds as well behind Piastri. Norris keeping kind of in touch. So now everybody's sort of hitting the second mark, the second and a half mark. I'd say the tyres are starting to really feel it. Good old Pirellis are just starting to fall apart. I mean, I tell you, of all the things in F1 that potentially ruin the racing, and Pirelli is sort of, they've been given an edict to make these tyres that do not last, to try to encourage more overtaking and more pit stops and things like that, but generally hasn't worked yet. And the problem is, anytime these tyres get pushed, where, you know, to try to overtake and race and keep up with the guys ahead, anytime they get pushed, that's going to be close between the Williams and the Haas in the pits. It's like Albon gets out ahead of Ocon. Oh, it looked like that was going to be a very close release. Yeah, the problem is, once you push these tyres at all, they start to fall apart, which means the racing itself starts to suffer. And you just end up getting entire Grand Prix that are just babysitting tyres, effectively. Either way, Norris is, bless him, still keeping up with Russell. Still about a second, just under a second now behind him. But Leclerc, Piastri, George himself have all just really settled into a rhythm. Hülkenberg, by the way, is now 13.3 seconds ahead of Albon, so the undercut is big. The undercut usually is big here as well, and new tyres really make a difference because this track, even though it's relatively slow and it's tight and all of that, it's a lot of medium to high speed turns. Turn 3, turn 4, turn 7, 8, 9, 10. You take a lot out of the tyres here. You put so much energy through them when you just ring the car across the corner. Like, you can just see the force going through the McLaren there on screen. I see the car just start to rock almost from side to side as the sheer force of the downforce just pulls the thing along. Norris getting a little bit snappy with his engineer. So Lando's been saying he's been asking for a bit of extra feedback from his engineers. Like, he doesn't mind being told, you know, you should attack this corner more, or you should try this line and things like that, which in a way it's clever, in a way it's fine, because he's like, if I'm doing something, or if I'm not doing something that others are seeing, please let me know, which is great. But something about being so coached just makes me wonder, does he really have the raw steel for it, if you know what I mean, just the raw feel for it? Piastri being told to use the pace, and look at that, already cut half a second out of Leclerc. That McLaren's quick. It's very, very quick, and Oscar is very quick in it, so Leclerc no doubt will respond to that. Now 2.5 seconds is a fair gap, but if Piastri brings that down much more, it could well be undercut territory. If you're Charles Leclerc, you might want to pit early. So what's he got? He's just about in range of Alonso. The thing that Leclerc could do as well, if he wants to be a real cunt, and that would be hilarious, if he just comes right off the pace and then he starts backing these four into that massive line of cars that's only not quite close, but not quite a pit stop away. If he wants to just back these cars in and prevent anybody else from pitting, well, it could be hilarious. Here we go, Red Bull coming into the pits. Who is this going to be? Max, surely. Yeah, here he is. I feel like they've almost missed a trick with this. I mean, they got a few more extra laps out of that set of tyres. But I just feel like the time to pit was when all of that line was really bunched up. They've kind of spread out now, and it's a lot more difficult, I think, to make that kind of time up. I mean, look at that. Verstappen's come out behind Nico Hülkenberg. Nah, Lando's saying that his tyres are gone. I mean, you could see how much Nico Hülkenberg, he stopped. He was dead last. He stopped. He was way off. I think like 16, 17 seconds behind that entire last. That whole Alonso downward snake, he was behind them by a long way, and now here we go. Everybody else who was pitted after that, everybody else, he's gotten by them. Now he will definitely have to pit again. He will be eating a penalty, but Verstappen's 4.7 seconds behind Hülkenberg now, so when he catches him, and he's on the hard, so Verstappen could well go to the end in this, when he stops again. Well, I think there was potentially more places for the taking, but nobody wanted to pit early. Unless I'm missing something, but it just looked to me like that was a dead certainty to jump up a little bit there, not fall behind Nico Hülkenberg, because when Verstappen catches the Hülkenberg, either he gets by him immediately, which I'm hoping that he does, for Max's sake at least, or he's going to be eating a lot of shit. Now Hülkenberg is right up behind Tsunoda as well right now, so let's see what Yuki can do for him. Leclerc in the pits now. So Piastri 4 seconds after his pit stop, 4 seconds behind Fernando Alonso. No reason to believe Russell or Norris are going to catch or jump Piastri here. Leclerc really late on the brakes into the pits. Oh, that's a decent-ish pit stop out of Ferrari. It looked okay. It looked pretty good. 2 seconds. Looked good. A little bit tardy out of Mercedes. What's that? 2.2, 2.3 maybe? Didn't look as quick as the Ferrari. Ooh, Leclerc just a little bit of pinched brake into turn 1. Stays ahead of Piastri as well, but look at that, 2 seconds. 1.3 seconds now between Leclerc and Piastri, so Piastri's going to absolutely have to attack him here. On the hards, potentially they don't have to stop again, so all Leclerc has to do is stay ahead. That's it. If you stay ahead now... Yeah. Piastri being told that Leclerc might struggle with warming up his tyres on the outlap. So that's the thing, Piastri has to attack him, because if Leclerc can stay ahead for the next lap or two, it gets really, really, really difficult for Oscar to do anything. He's 1 second behind, 1.04, which is 0.04 away from getting DRS. And what is this? Nico Hülkenberg going by Yuki Tsunoda. So there we go. I mean, what is Yuki Tsunoda on? 5 lap older tyres than Nico Hülkenberg. So that's the extent of the drop-off. It's absolutely massive. So Leclerc has stayed ahead. Now, crucially for Leclerc, he has a DRS now. He has DRS with Fernando Alonso. Oscar Piastri does not. So that will help Charles go. And there's Charles Leclerc going right by Alonso into turn 1. Just perfectly. And there he goes. And Piastri, crucially, could not follow him through yet. Now, the best place to pass on this entire track, the best, easiest place to pass is into turn 1, which means if Piastri cannot get by Alonso somehow, until turn 1 again, Leclerc could well be a couple of seconds up the road. Now, Alonso's going to use Leclerc as much as he can to try to stay ahead, to try to get some DRS, to try to stay as ahead of everybody else who's jumping in the pits now as that he can, but no, now he's already out of the DRS range, so I would expect Piastri to be getting by into turn 1 this lap. Now what is this? George Russell through on Gabriel Bortoleto, easy as you like, into turn 1, and we're through. I tell you, and I don't like DRS as a purist, but it does help get some passing done, I tell you. It really, really does. Which I think actually opens up some strategy options if you know you can get by these slower cars, like we're seeing Piastri do now with Alonso, so he got that done. But look at that, Leclerc already about 1.5 seconds ahead. I mean, at the very least, it does open up some strategy. If you don't have to be so terrified of getting stuck behind other cars if you know that you can pass them with the DRS, which in a way is nice. DRS is also going for next year as well. We're getting attack mode instead for whatever the fuck that shit's worth now. It's Antonelli in the pits, and it didn't look like a great stop either. 3.2 seconds, that's not a good stop. There's that Colapinto going by him, it is. Well, very interesting. Very interesting. It looks like Leclerc is absolutely going to nail it. Now, the big question is, what do you do if you're Lando Norris? They're already saying -5, Delta -5, so I would assume that they wanted him to pit quite early. He's been out there for 3 laps now, longer than Piastri. Looks like he's going through again as well. I don't know what the fuck their original target was then, if they wanted -5, unless Piastri has somehow beat them to the punch and they think, okay, we're going to have to do something different then. Now, what we have seen here in the past, when we saw it with Hamilton catching and passing Max Verstappen right near the end of the race a few years ago, you can pit late and catch the car ahead. It is absolutely possible to do that. You can pit late and use the tyre advantage to catch the guy ahead. Okay, so this is either plan A, look to extend, or plan D. So that's Norris here. That's the thing. They got jumped by Piastri. He jumped them. I don't think they were expecting. Likely they were expecting to pit the same lap that Piastri came in, and then when he came in, they said, "Okay, can't do that then." It's like the McLaren guys are keeping secrets from each other almost. I mean, when it comes to strategy and things like that, it's probably just one of the quirks of having two guys fighting for a championship. You just start to get this intra-team rivalry, which could potentially turn into friction. In 2016, it all blew over at Mercedes, which is why they started swapping guys across the garage from one side to another to try to calm things down a little bit. Now that's just a replay of Max Verstappen getting by Nico Hülkenberg. Nice little pass there. Hülkenberg got pretty fucking bullied out there, to be honest. Hülkenberg, whose tyres have now been through quite a lot. What is that, 17 laps? Yeah. Oh, Max having a little look at Pierre Gasly. Just an exploratory little look. Around the outside, maybe? Oh, that's very, very high risk. High risk on the outside. Makes it work. Well done. The high risk on the outside line after the race has started, especially through this race, is when you start going through cars on worn tyres. There's a danger that the car on the inside, if it's on worn tyres, oh, there we go, Verstappen. It's a bad idea. Pitted in so much traffic, he has to. I don't know what the fuck the point of pitting Max Verstappen into all that traffic was, to be honest. The opportunity was there. They could have pitted him earlier. I firmly believe they could have pitted him earlier. He would have avoided a lot of this. If he had pitted, say, 4 laps before he did, maybe even 5 laps before he did, he would have caught the end of that massive train as it started to filter into the pits, and then just the gates open up ahead of you. Oh, that's Russell. Very, very close. That's going to be damage. He looks like he's just gone into the back of Fernando Alonso. Doing a little bit of Paul Tracy chrome horning there. It looked like there was a flicker of something maybe come up now. I wonder if that front wing on the Mercedes and the rear of the Aston still have all their bits attached. Piastri asking if he thinks that a one-stop would work. I mean, what we're seeing out of McLaren now is just like what we saw last week. It looks like one car is being forced to diverge its strategy because of the other. Now, that came about, the Russell-Alonso thing, because Alonso looks like he went deep into turn 1. Then Russell is... Oh, maybe it was just sparks. Maybe it wasn't damage. I don't think... It was very, very close. I'm not sure if they actually connected there. I think it might have just been sparks from the Aston bottoming out. So at speed, it's difficult to tell the difference between sparks and maybe grey bits of carbon fibre off the wing coming up. Now George Russell is past Alonso this time, so good work, George, and off you go. Now, it looks like a lot of these guys are starting to... You know what, this might be why nobody really wanted to pit early, because Alonso, Bortoleto, Stroll, Lawson, Behrman, Hadjar, Hamilton, Gasly, who Verstappen caught, have all not pitted yet. Hamilton's worried about the Red Bull right behind him as well, so... I was kind of expecting more of these guys to duck into the pits. It's like, looks like they're not all going to be doing that. So, alright, okay, it looks like about half of them think that they can make it on a one-stop. Which is interesting because the guys who, like Piastri, who have already pitted it, don't think that they can make it on a one-stop. And they have brand new tyres going. But the thing is, the track will rubber in. It will become kinder on its tyres as this race goes on. It'll rubber in. It'll be easier for the tyres to maintain grip in the corner. the cars will get lighter, so there's not as much force required to put these cars through a corner, which would be a lot kinder on the tyres as well. I mean, you're carrying the same speed through a corner. Ideally, you'd be carrying the same sort of speed, but because there's not so much weight in the car, it would be a lot kinder of the tyres to achieve it. Maybe a one-stop is possible. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. But I am just thinking, we've seen it before where late two-stoppers have absolutely been able to win this race. I feel what we discussed before the race, we need to discuss those things before doing those. Okay. So Leclerc is being quite cryptic again. Talking about cuts before. I don't think he's an emo kid either. Now he's just vague booking to his own pit crew, sending cryptic tweets, fishing for sponsors on a status update before just ghosting everybody. Norris, okay, so they're looking for a one-stop for Norris then. They asked Lando, what does he think about a one-stop? And he said, yeah, why not? I think it will come a lot easier. Okay, right. So I tell you what we've got here is a race of two parts. This is obviously the first bit. What we're looking for is the second bit, when Norris is near the end of this race, because he should be able to keep the lead when we're assuming Leclerc and Piastri are both going to pit again, and Russell, even though they're on the hards, they could well try to pit again. Alright, Leclerc saying we're going to lose this race with these things, we're losing so much time. I wonder what he's talking about then. He must just be spooked by Oscar. Maybe he thinks that he just cannot keep him behind. Maybe he just thinks that Piastri is going to be able to get ahead of him. I mean, losing time, Leclerc has free air ahead of him, which can only mean that they're telling him he has to drive to a number to preserve his tyres, or maybe it's a fuel thing. Maybe they've filled it a little bit light and he has to run a little bit lean to make it to the end. Ooh, you're right there, mate. Ooh, thanks for that. Alright, here we go. Wheel to wheel. Who is this? Nico Hulkenberg and Pierre Gasly. Oh, Max Verstappen versus Lewis Hamilton. Here we go. I love when these two go at it. It's so much fun. So much fun. You got arguably the best of the last generation. That's going to be close. I think they touched. I think that's Max and Lewis touching. Oh, it was hard to see. It went behind trees from that angle. It didn't look like there's any damage. Didn't look like there's any damage to Max's wing though, so I wonder if they really did touch or if Lewis just bailed out at the last second. It looked sketchy. It looked very, very sketchy. Here's another angle of it on the replay. This should show us a lot better. So Max throws it up the inside. Oh, no, Lewis. I think Lewis backed out of it. I don't think there was any contact. Oh, I tell you, for a second, that looked very sketchy. We've seen cars go around there before, getting together and spinning each other out. Even saw it in the, was it the F3 race, I think, this weekend? Two cars going side by side through there and one coming out. I think it was the F3 race, yeah. It's very, very tight there. That's what she said. Very tight into turn 4. Especially with the way that the corner sort of flicks one way and then really goes almost 90 degrees to the other way. And this track was built in the 80s, opened, I think the first race was in 86, so it's built for an older generation of F1 cars. You know, they were much smaller then, a lot like Monaco. They were much smaller back then. So they didn't have these massive new, like they do with the new circuits like COTA and whatnot, where you've got these massive expanses. of tarmac from one side to another. These old school tracks just don't have that. Spa was the same as well. They just don't really have that, so you get really, really tight corners. Not a lot of room for two cars to go, especially at high speed, side by side. Now, Leclerc has almost caught Lando Norris. This is going to get interesting. So, like I was saying before, two-part of this race. The second part is when Norris is reaching the end, and presumably the three cars behind him have also pitted for a second time. That's going to be the big one. Now, Russell's starting to really fall off the back of this. It is turning into, for the most part, a three-horse race. Now, that's Max getting by Isaac Hadjar. Now, it'd be interesting to see what the stewards think about that that Hamilton-Verstappen incident. Norris Radio, here we go, box. So they did say he would have to do 40 laps to the end, which would be around lap 30, so lap 31, here he comes. So it'll be 39 laps to the end on the hards. He's made the mediums work for 30 laps, so he can definitely make it. Just depends how, in what state are those tyres going to be in the end. Now, we saw last week we were waiting for Piastri to pit another time, and it never happened. And then by the time Lando realised that, it was too late to really do anything. And Norris has made it out in front of Alonso, so he's fourth, which is where he was before all the pit stop sequence started. The thing is, he's on 12, 13 lap fresher tyres, 14, 20, there's Piastri, 12, 13 lap, oh, there we go, race control noted, Verstappen and Hamilton. I wonder what they would think. Because it looked like Lewis had to bail out of that, and Max has just scooted off up the road, and there he goes. I wonder if they think that, I wonder if they just weren't happy with how Max passed him there. I mean, if I'm Ferrari, if I'm Lewis, I'd be spitting chips at that, so fair enough if they at least want to ask the question. It's going to be very interesting. Norris is not going to pit again unless something weird happens, and like a safety car or some shit near the end of the race and he's leading. He's not going to pit again. Leclerc, Piastri, Russell, I'm expecting all of those three to pit again. We'll see what happens. I think it could be another replay of a very fast Piastri on new tyres is gunning for a slower ailing on old tyres Lando Norris at the end of this race. It could be very interesting. Now, history says if you've got new tyres, generally you can get by here. So Lando potentially might have to get his elbows out later. We'll see if he's got that, because he hasn't really looked like having it this year. Very interesting. This is my interested leaning in pose here, because this is going to be a very intriguing race. It's a bit like last week, where it was more intriguing than anything. I think last week was also a massive cock tease, because we were promised a classic wet race, and we ended up getting just a bog standard dry race instead after 80 fucking minutes of waiting. So at the very least, we're going home on time today. You know, Lord willing, we'll all get out of here on time today. Still 1.5 seconds between Piastri and Leclerc, so he's just kind of hanging in there. Which tells me he's preserving his tyres. Maybe he wants to go to the end. Maybe they say just wait, and then push to get by Charles Leclerc. Who knows? I think Norris is the big one to keep an eye on here. Now, he came out just ahead of Alonso. He's already put 3.5 seconds. About 3 seconds he's put on Alonso since he pitted 2 laps ago, which isn't that surprising because Alonso still has not pitted, and those tyres are completely fucked now. Completely fucked. It's like Verstappen's not having not having an easy go of it either. Hadjar's in the pits. And away he goes. Either way, it looks like this race has settled down for just a moment. I think the big thing, we're about halfway through it. Leclerc, Piastri, Russell, Norris, Alonso, Bortoletto still 6th. Stroll still 7th. Lawson, Verstappen, Hamilton. Lewis, Alonso, Bortoletto, Stroll and Lawson all still yet to pit. So Alonso really was the cork in the bottle here. Honestly, I'm surprised. Here we are, lap 35, and we've still got half of the top 10 have not pitted yet. I never would have thought. I never ever would have thought, which is why I'm speaking here rather than on the pit wall, but it's very surprising. Actually, I shouldn't even be that surprised. We've seen this quite often, actually, where races we're expecting 2 stops just kind of turn into 1. So Piastri, I think, would rather pit again. Thing is, if he pits again, he is going to be behind Lando, so he's going to have to fight his way by. And 4 laps is not a decent enough delta to be able to get by Lando Norris again. I think he'd want to wait a little bit more, at least until Norris has a decent amount of laps put on those hards before he tries it again. Now Piastri 1.9 seconds back, so he's dropped back just a little bit. Maybe he's trying to extend this stint a little bit. No. Here we go. Stewards don't like it. Verstappen and Hamilton, they didn't like it. Those guys have a lot of fucking history now. In a way, it's a shame. I don't think we'll ever get a repeat of Hamilton versus Verstappen for a championship again. I don't think we will. I think both of them are just at different stages of their careers now, and the car's available to both of them, and all of that. I don't see it happening again, which is a shame. We got one amazing season out of both of those two going for it, like really gunning for it. That was just phenomenal. Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I mean, Hamilton was in some very good title fights. 07 was very close. 08 was very close. 2010 was close, although he was kind of pretty much out of it by the final round. Not mathematically, but generally he was out of it by the final round. And 2012 was good until it wasn't for Lewis. So, 14 was... 14, it was a bit like Spa last week. It kind of promised a lot of a title fight and never really lived up to it. Same with 2015. 2016 was very fun. Very fun. Although it was just more of a defensive work by the end of Nico Rosberg. He just had to eke out the championship at the end, and he managed to get it done. The Lewis v Seb years of 17 and 18, I think, again, promised a lot, but just kind of petered out by the end. I mean, Lewis always had those championships wrapped up early, and the Ferrari team both years just collapsed. Absolutely collapsed in on itself by the end of the season. Stroll out of the pits. Oh, that's very close with Alex Albon. It looks a bit clumsy out of Albon, to be honest. Alright, Mercedes telling George that he's doing a great job. George is saying, just let me drive. Fair enough. He's feeling it. He's in the zone. But that 2021, that fight, that championship battle, just back and forth, race after race. It was like a 20... How many rounds was it that year? 21, I think? I think it was 21 rounds. Was it 22? I think it was 21 rounds. Yeah, because it was still kind of a weird championship. It was the year after COVID, wasn't it? It was still a strange time. But we had the Turkish Grand Prix again, and no Australia. From memory, we didn't go to Japan either. In 21. No, I don't think we did. Amazing, amazing championship fight that was. Absolutely brilliant. 21, 22 rounds, whatever it was, just knockout after knockout. It's like watching a boxing match. It's just fucking brilliant. And it's a shame we'll never get that again. A bit like Alonso and Hamilton, I would have loved to have seen them as teammates for at least one more season. And I mean, kind of what's it worth now? It'd be like watching fucking Mankind versus Undertaker and Hell in a Cell now, as opposed to, you know, when they were both at their height. You just see two old men sort of bumbling around now doing it. Alonso still goes around, so I don't know how the fuck he's doing that with his tyres. 38 laps. 38 laps on these tyres. And look at that, they're putting the tyres back. And the pit crew, I mean, they look like they're kind of ready for a pit stop, but just no idea when that'll be. That was yeah, that was a fantastic season, fantastic couple of seasons. I think the point I'm making here is it's a shame to see Lewis struggling like he is, because he's generally been involved in some very, very good title fights. So Piastri being asked, who's your target, Leclerc or Norris? So what they're saying is basically, we think Leclerc has got you here. You can prioritise one, but probably not the other. Which is why it's so crucial for a championship fight to remain as interesting as this. You have to have a wild card. Leclerc today is the wild card. Alonso's in the pits. Amazing. Oh my goodness, absolutely amazing. There it is on screen. I can't believe it. That's absolutely incredible. Alonso actually in the pits. Insane. Meanwhile, Bortoletta's gone through. Just incredible. Lawson too. And I'd say Lewis, who started on the hards as well, so it's not that surprising to see Lewis go this long. And if he's on mediums for the end, he should have a lot of pace at the end of the race. But I mean, right now, down in ninth, after another nightmare qualifying, it's interesting as well out of Lewis. Just he was so dejected. I've barely seen him so down. So that's Leclerc into the pits again. Absolutely riding. He's riding that Tiger coming into the pits like that. Oscar Piastri keeps going though. So he's definitely not undercutting Leclerc. So Leclerc will come out in fourth. Norris is going to try to go to the end. We'll see if Leclerc can get to him. Is Piastri going to try to go to the end then? Very interesting. Again, there's 29 laps to go. It could be that they want to put a few more laps onto Norris's tyres before they pit Piastri. Just try to offset that delta just a little bit more, make it easier to pass him when the time comes. Bortoletta's in the pits, Lawson's in the pits, so those Pirellis are fucking done. They're all over. I'm surprised that Bortoletto and Lawson wouldn't have pitted with him, because they've only dropped time to Alonso here. They could have undercut him and they both missed that opportunity, so, you know. And there's Hulkenberg, who was the first to pit, and look at him. There's Lance doing the cutback, and he's already through. He's already through on Hulkenberg, so that shows just the sheer difference in the pits there. The sheer difference of new tyres versus old there. So it's definitely possible. It's definitely possible to get by. No, All right, Verstappen and Hamilton investigated after the race, so they want to talk to both of them. Ideally, they want to ask Lewis, did you feel like you were crowded off the track? He will say yes. They'll ask Max, do you feel you did the wrong thing? He will say no. Then they'll flip a coin, and then someone will get punished. Alright, so they're considering leaving Verstappen. It's not going to be easy, so they're telling Verstappen, okay, surprise, one-stop strategy. Alright. So Red Bull aren't convinced, so they're monitoring it. Like Manchester United in a transfer window, they are just monitoring it. Hulkenberg, I think that penalty as well is going to send him to near the back here. Whoop. There he is. Come out right into the path of Russell and Lando here. So, just as well, he's not gotten out ahead of this and sort of back things up and fuck things up for either of Russell or Norris here. But Norris definitely is going to need to get by Russell as soon as he can here. Ideally, it would be at the end of this lap. This is music for Piastri as well. Anything that costs Norris time is just going to help him immensely by the end of the race. Lewis in the pits. So Russell in the pits as well, which will be music to the ears of Lando Norris. There we go. He's through. So Leclerc and Russell both opted for the second stop. Will Piastri do the same? He hasn't yet. I would have expected him to by now. It's only 10.6 seconds between the both of them. Again, unless they are waiting for... Maybe they're waiting for a safety car or a VSC to help it along. Maybe they're waiting for Lando to take a little bit more out of his tyres so that they could put Piastri probably on mediums and then send him out just in full attack mode to the end. It's interesting. Or is this going to be just Spa 2.0? Penalty served. Okay, so that's a notice to tell us that Hulkenberg rather has served his penalty. Thank you, FIA. Well done, FIA. I mean, this is the thing. Norris has just taken a second. Oh, what is this? Ocon versus Hadjar. France on France violence here coming up. Ocon around the outside of turn 2. Doesn't quite make that work. Right. So anyway, 8.6. So Norris is catching. Norris is catching. He will absolutely get by. He will absolutely get past Piastri here. The only thing Piastri can do is pit. This could be a Lando masterclass, or it could be a repeat of Spa. The thing is, Spa, it was almost impossible to overtake. I mean, in the end, it was impossible for Lando to catch. I think he just sort of got wise to the fact that I mean, Lando cost himself a little bit of time, but I think even going into the last couple of laps, I think the chase was already done. It was too big of a task. He waited too long to really put the foot down, but he's not doing that this week. He's not doing that this week. Now Norris is going to be going to avenge last year when he gave the win up for Piastri. Now, oh, this is Antonelli on Sainz down the inside, and away he goes. Antonelli up to 10th, so not the easiest second part of the season for Kimi Antonelli. Ooh. And Piastri has stopped. Okay, here we go. So 13 laps will be the difference. 14 laps. 14 laps will be the difference between Norris and Piastri on the tyres. On hards, the thing is, it kind of depends on whatever Leclerc does now. Now Norris, I think, might try to use Leclerc to keep Piastri behind. And what I mean is, if he can give Leclerc the DRS, and he has to be very careful here, if he can give him a DRS and keep him ahead of Piastri, and there's seconds between them now, but I'm talking about later on in the race when they all start to converge and they all start to get really, really close. If Norris can use Leclerc, a bit like Sainz did with Lando Norris a few years ago in Singapore, if he can use him to drag, if he can use Leclerc as a buffer between himself and Piastri, that might be enough to make it work. The big problem here is that you can absolutely nail a pass here. It's very interesting. It's bubbling up into something here. It's really turning into something. Like the old phrase says, let them cook. This race looks like it's cooking up quite nicely. Everything we can for blue flags. Let's be a bit more proactive with it. So Lando's saying, get these cunts out of my way. Get these motherfucking back markers out my way. Sick of the sight of them. Don't want to see them. And to be fair, McLaren should be doing that anyway, especially when they got a car in the lead. They should absolutely be hammering the FIA. Yo, show those blue flags. Get them up. Get those fucking things up. We don't even want to lose a tenth of a second to lap traffic here. Generally in F1, if you're the leader coming through, you will always cop the worst. Generally. Sometimes it's a bit different. Sometimes you get back markers fighting each other and maybe second place, third place, fourth place, whoever comes through just happens upon them at the wrong time. But generally, the leader will cop the worst of it, because all of these guys, from Leclerc all the way down to Albon, they're all racing only looking ahead of them. None of them are really paying attention to blue flags. It's only when somebody comes right up behind them that they're actually going to notice. It'll cost the leader some time. Here's Albon. We'll see what he does. They will want that Williams to move right the fuck aside. They'll really need him to move aside and not cause a fuss. But if you're the first one onto lap traffic, they might take a little bit longer to notice that you're there, to realise that there's blue flags waving and all of that sort of stuff. But if you're second, third, especially close to the leader, second or third in line, the traffic is already moving out of the way. It's already in the mindset of get out of the way. Of course, on a tight, twisty track like this, there tends to be like specific corners where blue flag traffic can easily get out of the way, because they don't want to fuck their own race up either. They won't just yeet themselves off the track just to let like second place through, you know what I mean? That'll be way too much of a time penalty for themselves, and they don't want to be doing that. Oh, very interesting this. Very, very interesting. So Piastri, to win this race, has to get by Leclerc first. Has to get by him. Now he's 3 seconds behind. He hasn't been able to pass Leclerc on track yet. This is the big one. This is the moment here. Lap 49 of 70 for the next 21 laps. It is going to be massive. Piastri has to get by Leclerc. Has to get by him. And the delta he has over Norris isn't massive. It isn't huge. Now, for Piastri, the good thing is Norris's tyres will be coming to the end of their life. He's going to try to extend them as much as he can, Behrman complaining that he's got no grip and the car is broken. Significant rear damage, 1% more aero balance than planned. That doesn't sound like a lot, but in these cars it really is a lot. They are so fine-tuned that it is a lot. Now Max is stopping again, so their ad hoc one-stop did not work. Looks like no one's going to be able to make the one-stop strategy work, unless Lando Norris. Well, none of the two-stoppers, rather, are going to be able to extend it and make one work. They've already taken too much out of their tyres. That is Antonelli versus Max Verstappen. Now, I'd say Antonelli has had a strange... Not really that strange, to be honest. He's had a rookie year. He's been very, very quick. Okay, Behrman, box retire the car, so the Bearman is out. Summer break starts early for Oscar, and he can go back to Sweden and try to break that kart track record. Yeah, Max is already pulling away from Antonelli here. So Antonelli on very old tyres, Verstappen on brand new boots, and you can just see, even half a lap, you can see the difference that makes. Now this is what Lewis Hamilton on Pierre Gasly. Should be an easy pass. Yep, there he goes. And already ahead into the braking area for turn 1, so well done, Lewis. Now, Antonelli's had... I don't know if I'd say it's a disappointing season. Is that Tsunoda and Hulkenberg? Looks like Hulkenberg just got yeeted off the track as well. Actually, how about this? Because it's a summer break coming up. What have we got so far? Norris needs to do a little bit better. Leclerc, I think, has done the best he can with the equipment that he's been given. I'm not sure what else you can ask out of Charles Leclerc. I think he's been brilliant. Just radio to Norris saying, look after the tyre, buddy, through all that traffic. Piastri, I think, has been fantastic. I think, in a sense, to me, he's been a surprise of the season because he has just been so consistently quick, which is not what he was last year. Here we go, Piastri on Leclerc. Oh, here we go. He's going to be able to get by. Wide into turn 1. Easy. Look at that, Piastri, easy. And now the Norris battle heats up. 19 laps to go after this one. Oh, this is going to be close. This is going to be very, very close. Very, very, very close. Now, what I was saying before, Piastri, he's absolutely upped his game this year. We knew he was quick, but the consistency, that's what was lacking last year. He would have whole weekends where he was just vanished and gone. A bit like Lewis Hamilton's doing this year, but this season he's just been absolutely on it. Absolutely on it. It's been just remarkable to see. I think Russell's had a very good season. A very good season. It's just a shame the car is fucking nowhere. Alonso's riding hurt right now, an injured back, so I think he's doing great. I think he's doing absolutely brilliantly, Alonso. Bortoletto has had a good first season. He's really coming on strong as well as the season progresses too, so that's always great to see. Stroll is Stroll, you know, he's doing great today. He was kind of rubbish last week. Stroll is kind of the wild card. You just never know what you're going to get out of him. Sometimes he's great. Like today, he's absolutely fantastic. You know, you cannot fault that. You can't fault that. And when I hear people say he's the worst ever and things like that, like, no, abso-fucking-lutely not. Like, Alex Young could never do that. You know what I mean? Gaston Mazzacane could never do that. Pedro Diniz, I guess he got points a couple of times, but you know what I mean. That Sainz getting passed by Lewis Hamilton. So Lewis is absolutely on the move here. He's got much fresher tyres, mediums, which he's taken to the end of the race. Piastri now 7.8 seconds. Piastri could well catch him here. And now this is what I was talking about. If you're Lando, you're going to have to get your fucking elbows out. You're going to have to really get your elbows out. Hulkenberg, Tsunoda noted, yeah, it looks a lot similar to the Hamilton Verstappen incident, which makes me think maybe they'll investigate it after the race. Maybe Yuki will be getting a penalty. Maybe it's just, you know, that's racing sometimes. We'll see. I maybe want to see like a replay, like an onboard or a heli shot or something of that, but it just looked very similar to what Max did on Lewis Hamilton. Now, Lawson, I think, has had a fucking rubbish season that has recently turned around in the last few races. He's starting to get to the groove again. Will it ever get him back to Red Bull? I'd say very unlikely, but you know, we'll see what happens with Liam Lawson. Verstappen, incredibly frustrating. We lost all competitiveness. You just have to listen to me. I would have found a different way of managing those issues, says Leclerc. So I wonder if it's something to do with his engine then. Leclerc has absolutely lost it. It's undrivable. It's a miracle if we finish on the podium. Okay, so he's dropped 4.5 seconds to Piastri, so he really has dropped the anchor out. Charles, what is going on? I mean, this is the task ahead of Fred Vasseur, to fix this, because this has been just a staple of Ferrari over the last nearly 2 decades. Just especially since the 09 rules sort of came in. I think when the old guard, the Jean Todt, Ross Brawn, Rory Byrne, when they all started leaving the team, after 2006, 2007-ish, just all that slickness, the proactiveness, the dominance that they used to have, it's just gone, and it's never come back. It's always been this just kind of constant. I wouldn't even call it a circus, because a circus at least has like a ringmaster and shit. This is just a fucking clown show. And we're going to be 14 races into this season. 14 races. Ferrari has a single pole position and just a smattering of minor podiums to show for it. That's it. That's it. It's just flat out not good enough. It is total shit. They won't have a single fucking win. They're not even that far behind. But the execution on race day is just fucking abhorrent. It's just awful. They can't get shit right. You can hear how frustrated Leclerc is. Hamilton saying, hey Ferrari, you might need to fucking switch me out as a driver because I'm not good enough. Which is frankly awful out of Lewis. If there's a safety car, we would take it for a hard tie. You'd only lose out to Oscar. Soft. Norris is going aggressive. 6 seconds, Piastri to Norris now. This is going to boil over very well. Very well. Now, the thing is, there is definitely room to pass. The thing is, if you're Lando Norris, what you do not want is to lose out here. If he loses this, even if he finishes second, if he loses this to Piastri, he is almost a whole win behind Oscar going into the last 10 races of the championship. That could be enormous. That could be a gap that is too big to bridge. Very, very tense here. This is very, very tense. Like I said, this could be a very big finish. Like I said as well, history has tended to favour, especially recent history, has tended to favour whoever pits last and has much fresher tyres at the end tends to get it done. Even if there's only a couple of laps to go, they can get it done. 5.6 seconds now. So Piastri doesn't have to manage anything with his tyres. He's just absolutely going for it. Lando absolutely has to manage his tyres. He has to keep them in good condition. He can't drive nearly as quick as he wants to. Leclerc has dropped anchor. The parachute's out the back of that car. It's fucked. Russell, 2.2 seconds. George Russell will end this race on the podium. He will. He absolutely will, because that Ferrari is just ailing now. But I mean, what the fuck even was the whole Vasseur thing about? Like I mentioned it before at the start, but I really want to reiterate. It's insane. A month and a half ago, you had different Italian media outlets leaking from the team that they were genuinely about to give Vasseur his marching orders, which means that they have lost faith in him. John Elkann, all the top brass at Ferrari, all the guys who run that team, and Vasseur does not run that team the same way that Arriva Bene did or that Binotto did. They've always kept a little bit of an arm's distance for him because he's an outsider, because he's not Italian, because he's coming from another team. They don't like that. They like to, be in-house, in-team. They like to be very Italian nowadays because they've slipped back into the bad old habits which gave them a decades-long championship drought. until Michael Schumacher, Jean Todt, Ross Brawn, Rory Byrne, all of them came together and created that super team. It was bad back in the day. It was very, very, very bad. It was haphazard. It was a mess. And they would have wins. Sometimes they would even fight for titles, but they could never get it done. And it's the exact same shit that's been creeping in again. It's not good. It's not good enough. And they're going to be wasting Leclerc, who's coming into his prime now. They're going to completely waste him. Lewis Hamilton, I think Lewis, bless him, I think Lewis has probably passed his prime, to be honest. I think he's still good. I think he still has days and flashes where he is absolutely fantastic. But, I mean, running in 12th, qualified 13th until Antonelli got his lap deleted. It just makes you fucking wonder. It really does. Vasseur was out the door. They're talking to Horner. Now apparently Horner's not happening, and now Vasseur has been giving a multi-year extension. So what the fuck? And part of me thinks it's just that this team is just flailing. It doesn't know what it's doing. It will go from one direction to another, like a sail ship, like a sailing ship in a hurricane almost, or in a crosswind. Like first it's blowing one way, then it's blowing another. This team definitely fucking blows, I'll tell you that much. It's not good. It's really, really not good. Hulkenberg, Tsunoda under investigation, just like I thought. Russell now 1.1 seconds behind Leclerc. So if you're a Leclerc fan, I don't know what to tell you. I really don't know what to tell you. I think Charles himself is not the fucking problem here. That team is experts at losing at this point. Fucking experts at losing. Not great. You've got Lewis Hamilton a couple of weeks ago saying that he's not going to be like Alonso or Vettel, who came to this team and didn't win a title for them. He doesn't want that to happen to him. And then he's coming out after qualifying and saying, yeah, maybe the team needs to get rid of me because I'm not, doing the job. I'm just useless. His words. Fuck me dead. What a disaster. What a fucking disaster. Anyway, lots to do though. Lots to do. And Fred Vasseur, he's going to want to fucking steady the ship quick. Now, he's been backed by Toto Wolff. Whether that's because Toto Wolff is being underhanded. No further action between Hulk and Tsunoda. So how about that? How about that? All's fair in love and Hulkenberg getting shoved at the Hungaroring. It's not the first time. Wonder if Leclerc will tell him to suck his balls later as well. God, that'd be fucking hilarious. Did I say Leclerc? I meant Yuki Tsunoda. Yuki Tsunoda telling Hulkenberg to suck his balls. Like, oi cunt, down here. Get your lips out. Here we go. Right, 11 laps to go. Russell is about to get by Leclerc here, and I get the feeling you're really going to hear Leclerc lose it on the radio. Well, maybe not this lap. Russell doesn't even need to push it. He's not catching Piastri ahead. That's done. He's not going to get caught by Alonso. That's done. He can wait until the last lap if he wants to get by Leclerc, because he's going to do it. Piastri, though, I don't think can really wait to the last lap, because I get the feeling Lando might be trying to defend this win with his life, because he kind of has to. I think this was a pivotal moment in the championship last year. Oh, Russell with a little bit of a opposite lock there, mid-corner in turn 5. This was a pivotal race in the championship fight last year, when Lando was trying to make anything out of trying to rescue a championship charge against Max Verstappen. It was pivotal because McLaren, I thought they did back then, I'm going to say it again, I thought they shit the bed that day. They screwed up their strategy, and it meant that Piastri was on for his first win and ended up behind Lando after the pit stop cycle. And McLaren made them switch back, which I thought was a massive mistake, a big mistake. What McLaren should have done is just let it play out and then just beg for forgiveness afterwards. Say, yeah, that was us, that was not you, that was not you, Oscar, that was us who fucked that up. We won't do it again. We will help you. We're here to help you. We want to make you win. Lando shouldn't have given it up. He should have said, fuck you, Oscar. This is my team. I am a McLaren young driver. I didn't get poached from another junior team or anything like that. I am their guy. I am the guy. I'm here to win. Giving up 7 points for basically no reason. I mean, he ended up losing the championship massively anyway, but giving up 7 points for no reason, I think really set the cast for the rest of the season. It really did. I thought that alone made it an impossible task for Lando to catch him. You never know what could happen afterwards. This sport really thrives on momentum, week on week and race on race and things like that. And Piastri just being handed the win back last year, I think, absolutely killed Norris, and maybe consciously or unconsciously, but it killed his championship push last year. He's going to want to ride that this year. He needs to stay ahead of Oscar. He needs to. If Oscar can get ahead of Lando today, I'd say it's over. It's going to be almost a whole win. Now, you never know in F1 what could happen. You never know, but this could be a hammer blow for Lando Norris if he can't get it done today. This is very interesting times. Very, very interesting, I tell you. Ooh, Russell having a look at Leclerc rather. Doesn't quite get it done. And we're back. Alright, 2.5 seconds at the front. So the big thing to watch for the rest of this race, of course, we're watching Leclerc-Russell right now. I'm telling you, if Leclerc stays ahead, fucking miracle. Honestly, it's a miracle. And it's a shame that we're not watching Leclerc in a quicker car, in a better team, because this is just not him. Russell, that was moving under braking, a committed move while braking, almost crashed into him. It's clearly not allowed. I think that was Leclerc getting by traffic, if memory serves me correctly. I know it just happened, but these things happen so quickly. Keep cool, mate, you'll get him. Absolutely, Mercedes on point there. Keep cool, you'll get him. You will get him as well. Pretty sure they came up behind lap traffic. Ooh, oh, that's very cheeky by Leclerc there. That, I think, was moving under braking for sure. Now, Russell's going to be driving very angry here. He's been having a... Ooh, Leclerc's coming back at him. He's not going to be able to do it. No grip. The tyres won't let him. The car won't let him. No. And Russell, away. Ahead and away, and there she goes. Mercedes got a job just keeping Russell calm here. So he'll be angry, but he'll be a lot happier now that he's by. You could just... A way to imagine F1 is like extreme road rage, I mean, it's bad enough on the highway on a Friday when all you've got to do is just get to work, but it's a lot worse when you're traveling as quick as you are in a world championship and potentially millions of dollars and the rest of your life is at stake. That's just a replay there. That was Charles Leclerc, I think. Maybe that's desperation there out of Charles. I think he's upset. I think he's frustrated. I think he should be frustrated, but yeah, George goes for the move there. Leclerc then... That's a penalty. Fucking turned on me during braking. I think he did that time, I think. I think Leclerc's seeing red here, which is why he's also gone for an inside move at turn 2 that was never going to work. Well, that battle's done, so now we're back to the front. 7 laps to go. Norris, Piastri, 1.7 seconds. This is the time. This is the intense bit of the race. Oh. Norris radio, what have we got? Traffic's going to ruin my race, which is what I was saying before. He's going to be eating a lot of this traffic, and he's got a few cars ahead of him here. Hamilton, Hadjar, and Antonelli ahead of him here. Oh. Yeah, and this is the thing, like, these cars are all fighting for... They're all essentially fighting for 10th place here. All of them are desperate for this point. Oh, this is going to get very, very intense. What is going to happen is light spots of rain, says George Russell. Oh, come on. Surely not. Surely not. Those clouds are dark-ish. I think it'll be fine. It doesn't look like there's a massive storm coming through. Famous last words, but I think it'll be fine. Even light spots of rain, generally on a hot track like this, in European summer, in Hungary, it's been very, very hot in Budapest. The light spots of rain don't generally do anything. They just sort of evaporate as soon as they hit the ground. Unless George is trying to psych somebody out into putting on wet tyres. I think the only team that would take the bait for that might be Ferrari. Maybe Williams. Anyway, 6 laps to go. 6 and the rest of this one to go. Causing a collision, Gasly and Sainz. Now, I haven't seen that. That must have happened off camera. Alright. Piastri now 1.1 second. I think he could well end up... I think Norris could end up losing the race here. Oh, Max Verstappen, big washout moment behind. Who was that? Lawson, yeah. Now, what is this? This is... this will be Gasly. So Hulkenberg goes through. Sainz follows him through. The fuck is Sainz? What are the stewards drinking wine or some shit? They keep on saying that they're investigating other drivers when it's Nico Hulkenberg at fault here. Piastri 0.7 now, 5 laps to go. This is it. This is the time. This is the time. I think Oscar's going to get this. I think Oscar's going to get this now. How desperate are you if you're Lando Norris? What I would say, and this is unorthodox, you're not going to hear this from many people. Norris, Lando, if you're listening to me, I'm going to send this out into the universe. Maybe I can inception it into his brain. Norris, if you have to take Piastri out, you will be 16 points behind him going into the summer break. If you have to both crash, it will be 16 points. If he gets by you, it will be 23. That's the difference. Now, 0.8 seconds with 5 laps to go, that is absolutely overtakeable. Those cars are very closely matched. Generally, they're closely matched on pace. The drivers are closely matched, but look at that DRS open. It's not going to take a whole lot for Piastri to get by Lando. I'm telling you, if you want to be a bastard, and bastards win championships, if you want to be a bastard, if you want to be a cunt, don't be afraid of the Aussie, get him in a shunt. That's my Gruntilda rhyme for him. Just like Gruntilda, it's pure evil as well. Now, this is what I was saying. I was saying this last year. And another point, when I was... last year when I was saying... I thought that they made a mistake swapping these guys around in Hungary. When they were trying to sell Gasly and Sainz causing a collision. Oh, it's at turn 2, of course. I was looking at the wrong fucking thing, dope. When it was last season, yes. Last season when they switched them around and I said it was a mistake and they said to Lando on the radio, you're going to need Oscar to help for this championship. You're going to need him. So I don't know why feeding him 7 points helps in that situation, but they said you're going to need Oscar, and Oscar repaid the favour at Monza by almost wiping Norris out and potentially costing him the race. I think Norris is going to have to play dirty because he's never going to get that sort of shit back. He's never really going to get it back from Oscar. Oscar isn't built like he is. Lando is a more timid, apologetic character. Now, that's not necessarily a fault, but it is, I think, a weakness in a sport like this where you have to be steely, where you have to be confident and arrogant and more than a bit of a cunt. If you're going to win in this, you have to have these traits. There's a reason CEOs, politicians and all of that generally are narcissistic and psychopaths, because those are traits that are rewarded with success in those pursuits. If you want to be world champion, you have to be a little bit of a dick. You have to be a little bit of a prick. That's just the way it is. 3.5 laps to go. 0.7. So Norris is sort of keeping him at bay here. Now, is Oscar going to go for a lunge with a lap or two to go? And I tell you what, if Oscar gets by, it's over. There's no fucking pace for Norris to catch up with a 10-second time penalty for Gasly causing a collision. Okay. So science of season is basically exactly as it has been, just everything's going wrong. That's Lando going deep into turn 1, still stays ahead, 0.3 seconds now. Now the big thing is, it is possible to get by at turn 4 here. It is possible to send it into turn 4 or 5 or 6 or one of those other corners. The easiest place to get by here is turn 1. And if I'm Oscar Piastri, that's where I would be doing it. You cannot risk an unorthodox pass into turn 5, turn 6, turn 9, 10 or something like that. You cannot risk that because the chance of it going wrong is huge. Now we saw McLaren really didn't like when he almost, didn't even make contact, almost made contact with him in Austria. McLaren were really upset at that. And I think they've absolutely put the marker down. Do not take each other out. Absolutely do not take each other out. They were a lot kinder even when Norris crashed at the end of Canada. They were a lot kinder with that because Norris immediately held his hand up and said, yep, sorry, it wasn't for a win, sorry. But running 1-2, McLaren really weren't happy with that. They're running 1-2 here. They're really not going to want Oscar sending something that is totally unnecessary. It's going to have to be into turn 1. So Lando, is he going to... No, he's not going to... He is going to go for it. Oh! Very close. Very close. Doesn't make it. Oh, I got the heartbeat going here. Doesn't quite make it. Piastri is crucially able to stay with him here, though. Not like last week. Last week, Lando sent it too deep into turn 1 in the last couple of laps, and it was over. Oscar could just scoot ahead. Not so this time. So, lap 69 of 70. Wait, that was fucking Axl Rose that Martin Brundle was talking to? I didn't recognise him at all. He's lost weight. How about that? What the fuck? Well, I'll be... Now we're watching a replay. Oh, that was very close. Very close. So, Piastri just sent it. Almost Daniel Ricciardo style. Piastri, remember how we're going racing? Same reminder. So they're telling him, don't do it. Don't fucking do it. Like I was saying, now they're coming around the second last corner. They're coming around the last corner. This will be it. Final lap. Oscar has to make it work. 0.7 with DRS. He will be able to get it here. Now Lando, what does he do? Leclerc, 5-second time penalty for driving erratically. Doesn't go for it. Oscar doesn't go for it. Does he go for it into turn 2? Does he go for it into turn 3? Has he been spooked out of the move? Is that code for McLaren saying, give it up, don't go near him? You had a chance, you blew your chance, and you almost took him out, so that's it. It could be that McLaren's called curtains on this. It could be that McLaren said absolutely no more of this silly shit. We are not losing a 1-2 right before the summer break because you guys want to be cowboys. This will be it. This is surely going to be it. Lando's going to have this. And I tell you what, this is absolutely massive for Lando Norris. This today is absolutely huge. This is what he tried last week and it couldn't get done. At Spa, he's diverged strategies on the fly, and this week he's been able to get it done. Yeah, that'll be it. There's no... Oscar's not getting by here. It's over. It's so over. Well done, Lando. Getting his win back in Hungary. Win number 200 for McLaren. How about that? Wins it. Done. Good work, Lando. Good work. Piastri half a second behind, keeping really in the tradition of this year in Hungary. It's also the closest top 10 qualifying spread in history in Formula 1. So there is that. Hamilton ends up finishing 12th. Pfft, Jesus Christ. George Russell 3rd. Good work, George. Well done, buddy. Well done. Love to see it. Love to see that, George. Great stuff. Yeah, my boy. Good work. Good work. Leclerc, yeah, fourth. So he called it right. He did end up getting a fourth. Now, it's going to be interesting to see exactly what the fuck Leclerc was talking about on the radio, because he was very cryptic with all of that. Vague booking like a drunk aunt. Like a drunk, upset aunt. So Norris radio. Yeah, all the usual platitudes that you'd expect. Lovely. He sounds gassed. That was massive, I tell you. That was absolutely massive for Lando Norris. That was massive for today. That was massive for his season. And the best thing is, title fight is back on. It was 16 points, the difference. It's now 9. 9. Single digit. Heading into the final 10 races of the year. Here we go. Here we go. Title fight is absolutely back on. Piastri, beaten today. He was just beaten. I think McLaren maybe spooked him after he couldn't get the pass done. Yeah, they're telling him close. Almost close. It's interesting to see the dynamic between these two, and I was saying it last year. It's going to be very interesting to see when they are fighting for the championship, as we were expecting it was going to be like this, with how quick McLaren was at the end of last season. We're expecting this, almost reminiscent of Rosberg v Hamilton, where it's just these two locked in for a title fight, and they're both absolutely going for it. It's going to be interesting to see just how intense it can get. It has looked so far like Oscar, and not just because he's ahead in the championship right now, but he's there for a reason. He has looked the stronger driver of the two over the course of this season, over the course of the first 14 races. But this is good. This is good. It's been good out of Lando lately. He's been racking up wins again. Not quite absolutely slamming authority on them, but he has been getting it done. More often than he was at the start of the season, at the very least. So he's doing the business again, which is great to see. It's great to see out of Lando. It's great for us as well, because we get a championship fight potentially to watch through the rest of the season. So there we go. That's it. 70 laps are done. The race is won. There's Lando flexing his guns. Lando Norris, Piastri, Russell, Leclerc, Alonso, amazing in 5th. Amazing. Actually, yeah, let's just run through them. Norris, fantastic. Fantastic. I think absolutely killed today. Absolutely killed it. Did it brilliantly. Only a couple of times did he just pinch a brake into turn 1, but apart from that, ironically, I think his bad start forced this divergent strategy, which ended up making him win. So, how about that? How about that? When bad starts go right. It's good. It's decent. It's a bit like tripping over in the street, and because of that, you miss a fucking shotgun that came at you or some shit, or maybe like a car that's otherwise would have hit you. He's almost tripped over into a win. I mean, fair play, he had to get it done, but if it was just the bogged start that has really caused this, then I think fair play, mate. Well done. Well done indeed. Fastest lap of the race, George Russell. So, Piastri, close, almost got it done. Maybe if he had held on one more lap and then tried the dive bomb on the final lap, maybe Lando would have been expecting that, but maybe he's just a little bit closer. Maybe he can make it work, Fine margins, these things. Fine margins, either way. Decent race out of Piastri. Finished where he started. Didn't go backwards, which is nice. Didn't go forwards, which he could have, looking at Leclerc, but, it just wasn't meant to be. George Russell, 3rd place, again, fantastic. And I'm expecting to come back after the summer break, and George Russell will be officially locked into that Mercedes seat. We could even hear that announcement as soon as like tomorrow or Tuesday or something, before the summer break really kicks off in earnest. Leclerc, 4th. He got Ferrari today. From the sounds of it, he absolutely got Ferrari. There's not much else to say. That guy at the back just almost ate shit. Speaking of tripping over, anybody else see that? I fucking saw it. Good thing you didn't do that on TV, mate. That would have been embarrassing. George Russell checking his weights. Lewis Hamilton looking dejected. We'll get to you, Lewis. We'll get to you. Leclerc, yeah, Ferrari, big trouble. Ferrari are flailing around like a dying animal. Like a deer that's been shot and is just stumbling around looking for somewhere in the woods to die. It's not pretty. It's really not pretty for Ferrari right now, and Leclerc is once again starting to lose his rag there. Didn't really like what I saw out of him in a turn 1 against George, but that's just sheer frustration, desperation. You see that sometimes a footballer just gets frustrated and tries a filthy tackle that they otherwise wouldn't have done. love to see it, but I understand it. Just it's a shame. I mean, in the end, Leclerc's penalty didn't really drop him anything, so whatever. It was probably worth it in his mind to see if he could keep Russell behind, which he couldn't. Now Alonso fifth, amazing stuff, absolutely amazing out of Fernando Alonso there. Considering he missed P1 because he's been hurt, get the feeling Dragovic is never going to get the injury replacement ride that he's desperate for. But whatever. Nando, brilliant. I don't know what Aston Martin did this week, apart from the car just kind of suiting it for once. I don't know what the fuck else they did, but it has absolutely worked a treat. So well done, Aston. Rich reward. It's been a very, very difficult season for them. So we'll see how they kick on after the summer break. But basically, I think as far as new pieces are concerned for most of these cars, it's over. I think the development pipeline is shut, and now maybe they'll bring like a low downforce wing for Monza or Baku or something like that, but generally I get the feeling you're going to see very, very few updates to these cars for the rest of the championship. Everyone's looking all towards 2026. Bortoleto 6th, amazing. Second points finish, that's his best points finish in F1 after his best starting position in F1, so absolutely brilliant. It was fantastic. Killed the start, did it great, and then just basically held on to it for the rest of the race. So well done, Bortoleto. Stroll just dropped one position off the start. And that's a shame because that really is the difference. He had a decent race in the end, Lance Stroll. There he is, finishing 7th. He had a good race. Only, 2 seconds behind Bortoleto in the end. It's not that bad, but you drop a position off the start. It's just what happens sometimes. Lawson 8th, again, solid out of Liam Lawson, very solid, finishing ahead of Max Verstappen, which is actually insane to see, to be honest. Liam did great, and fair play. I think Liam's had until this, he had almost a Danny Kvyat kick in the balls for his career. I think it would have absolutely rocked him, would have rocked his confidence, would have rocked all of that. Even if he's saying it publicly, it doesn't matter to him and all of that shit. I think privately is just killing him inside, eating him. To be chucked so soon by Red Bull, but that's a decent start. And I get the feeling if there is change at Red Bull next year, maybe Lawson will stick around. Maybe he will stick around. Maybe I get the feeling Hadjar probably will go to Red Bull if they're going to get rid of Tsunoda. That's if they're going to get rid of Tsunoda, but no, I mean Lawson, that's kind of what I expect out of him now. Just a solid midfield runner who's not quite top level team worthy. Now Verstappen 9th, bad race out of Max. It's been a bad weekend out of Max. Not even really out of Max, it's a bad weekend out of Red Bull. I think Max did as much as he could with it. Bad strategy. Got away with the running with Lewis, but generally it's been nothing to write home about today. That team's fucking struggling. It's really, really struggling. It's really not good for him. And we'll see how much longer Max can keep his cool, because this ain't great. If this is what the next year and a half is about, I think Max is absolutely going to leave Red Bull. I think he really will. It's worth sticking around next year. I mean, he's stuck for one, but it's worth sticking around next year to see what that car's going to be like. But if 9th place is on offer for the rest of this season, I think you're going to see maybe the sourest Max Verstappen we've ever seen. He might even morph into his old man. You never know. Kimi Antonelli 10th. At least it's a point. I'd say that. That's the rating for Kimi Antonelli. At least it's a point. Bad qualifying. It's been a really rough patch of races for Kimi Antonelli ever since he got a podium in Canada. So hopefully he can rediscover a little bit more of that form going forward. I think it's going to be good to have a nice reset. These races come thick and fast as part of the year, so it's nice to have just a reset, move on from then. Because there is talent in that kid. He just happens to be in the spotlight because of that seat, but there's a lot of talent in that kid, so let's see. And I'm expecting Antonelli to be re-signed as well. Now, the interesting thing will be how long George and Kimi get re-signed for during the summer break, because I'm expecting that to happen. Cool. Hadjar 11th. Didn't work today. Generally a great season. Didn't work today. Shame. Hamilton 12th. Fucking rubbish. Just no good. No good. It's not good that he's qualifying back there. It's not good that he's so dejected, that he's calling himself useless, that he's saying that the Ferrari don't break the trophy, Lamau. It's not great. any of this sort of shit out of Lewis. The attitude looks like it's gone. I think he tends to be like pessimistic and dismissive and stuff in, you know, when things go wrong in the media pen. We've seen that out of him before, and sometimes he fights back and does great after those sorts of things, but he looks almost haunted. We'll see what Lewis has got for the rest of the championship, but doesn't look good. It really doesn't look good. Bad day for Ferrari, really bad. Hulkenberg 13th, bog standard. Sainz Albon 14th, 15th. It's about as much as Williams, I think, were offering today. Ocon 16th. It's a shame, but, you know, Haas haven't looked quick all weekend. Tsunoda, once again, struggling. Started from pit lane. No help with the strategy. No real rolling of the dice or anything like that. So, not sure what you fucking do with Yuki anymore. Not sure what you do. He's safe there through the rest of the year. We'll see if that actually happens. I would assume that he's safe for the rest of the year, because at this point anybody else he put in there is going to get the same. That car sucks. And the problem with that car is, and you can see it with Verstappen today, the car's no good. And if that's the best operating window that it's got, and the operating window is as thin as a Tic Tac, yeah, bad news. Bad news, it's a shit car. Look at how miffed Piastri is. That's fucking eating at him. This is the dynamic I'm talking about. So, how do Lando and Oscar going to get along? Oscar's not even looking at him. Oh, there's a little look. Yeah. I think Oscar's not sour at Lando. He's probably sour at himself for not winning. He's probably pissed off that he's been outfoxed as well. Anyway, Colapinto 18th, Gasly 19th. That's Alpine. Da-da-da-da-da-da. And Behrman retired. Sweet, that's it. That's the end of the race. We can throw the checkers on this stream. Thank you very much for watching. I will be back. Maybe I'll upload something in the summer break. Maybe. Let's see. Either way, these watch-alongs are lovely fun, so thank you for joining in. It's been a very interesting time. What are we, Piastri? Yep, like I said, 9 points ahead of Lando Norris. The problem is, Russell's not even that far behind Verstappen. He really isn't, and I think Max is going to be maybe looking at a win that he had in Suzuka or maybe Imola and thinking, did I have to do that? Did I really have to do those? It was fun at the time, but now I'm stuck in this piece of shit fucking team. Oh well, whatever. That's a shame. Fine margins. That's what it's all about. Anyway, thanks very much for joining us. I think it's about 4 weeks until the next race, so let's see. Maybe I'll do something before then. Maybe I won't. Maybe I will. Keep an eye out for it. Next race, Zandvoort, for the penultimate Netherlands Grand Prix. Should be fun. Should be a fun race. If it's anything like this, I mean, this track is also old and twisty and tight, and this was a very fun race, so we'll see what Zandvoort has to offer. I get the feeling it won't be a Max win this year. I just get that feeling. But anyway, we'll see when it comes down to it. Thank you very much. I'll be seeing you all later. Ta-ta for now. Hope you have fun. Hope you have a safe and fun next 4 weeks. I'll see you later.